A guten Erev Shabbos, a guten Chodesh. This week, accusations were made against me, not without reason, that I'm the most sentimental person in our family. That might come as a shock, then again, maybe not. A few of us were on a Zoom with cousins one evening, and it emerged that someone had a high school genealogy project to do next week, and they needed some family background information, as well as any artifacts from our family's journey from Lithuania, Belarus, Poland, Ukraine. As soon as artifacts was mentioned, everyone pointed to me. Because, yes, okay, I do hang on to things. I happen to have every passport everyone in our family was ever issued, because you never know. And I have family birth certificates back to 1893, not all inclusive. And World War II service ribbons and Navy officers' mess hall cards. Somehow, these artifacts make the past very real in a way even more than a photo album does. Maybe that resonates with you, maybe it doesn't, but the fact of the matter is, souvenirs is a huge industry. We like to have something to hold on to, something tangible to help us remember the experience and connect in a real way to times or events gone by. How many people get married with part of a grandfather's or a great grandfather's talis as part of the chuppah? And maybe the chassan's wearing some heirloom cufflinks to boot. Maybe our grandmother's candlesticks, Shabbos candlesticks. Somebody told me about a Kiddush cup that had been passed down in his family since the 1700s. What's the deal with stuff, with things, with items? In a nutshell, we have a mitzvah from our parsha this week of Terumah to take stuff, take things, take gold and silver and wool, and make them into something holy. Why is this? We just came from Mount Sinai 2 parshas ago. We stood together as one nation, and we heard God's voice proclaiming the 10 Commandments. It was a truly awesome and awe-inspiring moment. We wanted to hold on. We wanted to preserve the moment, make the feeling last, keep it going. While Moshe went back up the mountain to hear the rest of the Torah, something went awry with our little Jewish society. In our enthusiasm of the moment, we got swept away, and our emotions got ahead of our rational minds, and we wound up making an idol, to our shame, a golden calf. We'll speak about it more in a couple weeks after Purim. What had happened was we took precious items made out of gold and melted them down into an idol. Let's say the people had good intentions, maybe their hearts were in the right place, but the action was misguided, to say the least. We wanted to make something holy out of material things. The problem was we tried to do it on our own. It was a catastrophe. So, as a way of letting us do teshuvah, setting us on the right path, God gave us a mitzvah of building a portable shul that we could carry with us through the desert. We didn't know yet it was going to be another 40 years until we got to Israel. But taking stuff, wood, gold, wool, and other materials, and making them into a place where we can connect with God. You see people say that stuff is not really so important. As long as you're happy, be gezind if you have your health, yes. And yet, people want to live in a nice house. They want to wear nice clothes, drive a nice car, and to get away from it all, go somewhere nice for vacation. So stuff is not so important. And then again, it is important. So which one is it? Here's the key. It's what you do with it. Stuff for its own sake will never make you happy. You'll just want to get more stuff. But if we use that stuff for a higher purpose, then that is something altogether different. If we use it for a family, for tzedakah, for doing our part in building community, that is a satisfaction and purpose and meaning all to itself. Which also speaks to the issue of why building a sanctuary is a mitzvah for all time, if it really only applied to the generation of the desert. It's because we're supposed to be building a place for God in the physical world with everything we do, all our efforts. We build our homes, we build our families, we build our shuls and our communities. All this is the ongoing work of transforming physical stuff, wealth, resources into something holy and transcendent. Our good friend Rabbi Weinrib, who turned 85 this week, offers a beautiful insight into this calling of the Jewish people. The Mishkan was built to disassemble and to be portable, much like our own shul once was, back in the days when it all fit inside a station wagon or on top. The Mishkan was made of wooden beams covered in gold called kerashim that lined up next to each other, and then there was a wooden dowel or a stick that ran through the middle of them to keep them all lined up and together. There are some pictures in your Chumash. I hope you take a look. Anyway, this stabilizing dowel, Bria Hatichon, was made of special wood, according to Targum Yonasan, writes that the stabilizing middle bar was made of wood from the tree that Abraham planted in Be'er Sheva, way back in Parshas Vayera, before the Akedah. What's the message? Rabbi Weinrib mentions a medrash about an argument between two angels and God. The angel of truth, at the beginning of creation, said to God, God, maybe don't create human beings. They're really full of falsehood. The angel of kindness said, yes, create people, because they have a tremendous capacity for kindness. Rabbi Weinrib quotes the Mojitzer Rebbe explaining what bothered the angel of truth. He wasn't upset so much by the fact that people bend to the truth now and again. What really offended him is that people allow falsehoods to masquerade as truth. That's what really set him off. So the angel of kindness quite cleverly suggested a test, how to tell genuine truth from hypocrisy. The test was this: did the truth in question lead to cruelty, or did it lead to kindness? If it led to cruelty, it was not the honest truth. If it led ultimately to kindness, then it was obvious, it was known to be the real and authentic truth. The tree that Abraham planted in Be'er Sheva, called the Eshel Avraham, it was either an inn, a B&B, that offered a place for weary travelers to rest from their journeys, or, according to another opinion, it was an orchard that fed them and an oasis that gave thirsty travelers something to drink. Either way, this Eshel was a genuine expression of loving kindness and care for others. This is the point of our efforts and our building and our truth as religious people, religious Jews. Everything we do has to have as its center bar, the stabilizer, the thing that holds it all together, kindness towards others. We actually have to fit that stabilizing beam of loving kindness, even into the truths that are unbending and unchanging, regardless of the spirit of the time or whatever the newspapers tell us is the reality of that particular day. Whatever we do has to be with kindness and concern for others. That connects us to the special reading for this very special Shabbos, which is Shekalim. It's been obligatory since temple times for each household at minimum to contribute a half shekel to the treasury in Jerusalem so that all the Jewish people, wherever we live, could have a share in the daily offerings that are offered there. Now, people estimate nowadays that the purchasing power of a biblical shekel in our times is somewhere around $7, maybe as much as $15 or so. But a half shekel, even at those rates, is no more than $7 or $8. That's what every family, or optionally every member of every family, if they so choose, would send to Jerusalem annually to replenish the fund in the temple. And it would be done in the month of Adar, so there would be a full treasury in Nisan before Pesach. This was meant to foster in all of us a sense of belonging, sense of ownership and connection to what was happening in Israel, particularly in Jerusalem. Remember, this was thousands of years before WhatsApp, so maybe the only tangible connection people in the diaspora had with Israel was that contribution that they sent each year in Adar, to see themselves as part of the process of history unfolding with the Jewish people in the Jewish land. Fortunately, for the most part, and only sometimes unfortunately, we are much more closely linked into and intimately connected with what's happening in Israel than ever before in human history. It's a privilege, and also sometimes a heavy emotional load to carry. Like never before in history, we can sit in our easy chair in Toronto and watch the hearses bringing the caskets of slain hostages home for burial in Israel in real time. We can follow minute by minute developments in crisis moments and in protest movements. Sometimes it's hard to tear ourselves away, and sometimes it drains us at least as much as it energizes us. At the same time, we can stay in touch with family, friends, and hear inspiring stories of our brothers and sisters in Israel. Like, for instance, the story of Agam Berger, she should live and be well, who throughout her captivity of nearly 500 days did her absolute best to keep kosher and to keep Shabbos. If you thought those stories were of a bygone day of heroes of the camps or the gulag, here we have a modern day Shabbos queen. She reported after she was released that not only did her captors give her a siddur, which they had found left behind by soldiers in Gaza, but they told her they respected someone who believed in God and kept the faith. And that brings us to the other special Torah reading of this amazing Shabbos, the reading of Rosh Chodesh. We always announce the reappearance of the moon in Jerusalem on the Shabbat before Rosh Chodesh. We did that last week, which reminds us of ourselves. Sometimes the Jews fade from prominence on the front pages of the papers, and sometimes we're there above the fold every day. Sometimes we seem to be on the rise, sometimes we appear to be on the decline to the point of invisibility. But we know, because we have God's promise, that we will always be here, come what may. Just like the moon that waxes and wanes, so too the Jewish people over time. Although we're so small in number, we continue to punch above our weight, contributing so much more to the world than we take in every field of human endeavor that you can mention. As we enter this Shabbos into the month of Adar, the month of transformation, where Haman's evil plot against us was transformed into Purim, the most raucously joyous of all Jewish holidays, we eagerly anticipate the time when these painful and awful days and months we're living through now eventually become a great celebration of freedom and yet another triumph of Jewish history with God's help. Shabbat Shalom, Chodesh Tov.